On Tuesday's TV6 Morning News, the Trump administration brings the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. back into the spotlight. His family's response to the release of thousands of records.
And what's next for public broadcasting at NMU after President Donald Trump's proposal for funding cuts within the industry?
And a test of speed and endurance. Runners gear up in preparation for the Queen City Half Marathon and Breakwater 5K this weekend as your TV6 Morning News starts right now.
From Upper Michigan's source, this is your TV6 Morning News.
Good Tuesday morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us and starting off your day. The word of the day is nice, but that changes as we look ahead to tomorrow. And we want to give you the first alert to some serious rain that you could expect. Let's turn now to TV6 First Alert meteorologist Noel Navarro. Noel, good morning. What are we looking forward to tomorrow?
I'm not looking forward to it, Mandy, Tia, and John, but we do have to get you prepared for Wednesday. First Alert weather day, as mentioned at the top of the hour here, severe storm and flood risks. They'll start to rise across Upper Michigan tomorrow because we're turning hot and humid, and we've got systems to just enhance what's going on in the environment. We're going to keep in mind, we're going to keep an eye on the damaging wind and hail to come. Even torrential downpours can't be ruled out. Look at the severe risk. We're looking at least 15% UP wide, whether it's going to be torrential rain that could lead to flash floods and damaging thunderstorms. At this time, we're keeping an eye on temperatures. It's on the mild side for the upper Midwest. How about Pierce, South Dakota, 75 degrees. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 75 too. And the dew points matching that temperature. Pierre is at 74, close enough. And the Twin Cities too in the 70s. All this is going to make its way towards the western Great Lakes region and upper Michigan, and the system will be making its way there. First, there's one over the northern plains, a second one coming from the lee side, the eastern slopes, downslope of the Colorado Rockies. So here's the next 3 days. It is nice for today. There's a chance for thunderstorms to pop, especially out west, before we start to see that rising risk on Wednesday, even carrying on into Thursday. In about 5 minutes, we've got more details on those slight severe risks across upper Michigan. So we'll explain that, and we got that full forecast coming up later in this newscast, guys.
All right, we'll look ahead to checking back in. Thanks, Noel. Happening now, the Menominee City Police Department wants you to remember that it's not okay to make a false police report.
This comes after an incident over the weekend of reported armed robbery. In a Facebook post made yesterday, the department says officers were sent to the Welcome Center in Menominee early Sunday night. The person reporting the robbery claimed a suspect dressed in all black wearing a ski mask held them at gunpoint, then stole money and other belongings. After an investigation, search, and questioning by several agencies, the person admitted the robbery did not actually happen. No names were released, but the person was arrested for filing a false police report. The department says when you make a false report, quote, it not only wastes valuable law enforcement resources, but also undermines public safety efforts. Such actions will be taken seriously.
Turning now to a traffic alert in Ontonagon County. MDOT is replacing a culvert on a section of US 45 today north of Rockland. A detour is required in order for this work to be completed. If your commute involves travel on US 45, be aware you will be detoured onto M26 and M38. This project is expected to be finished by Friday.
New this morning, the Trump administration has released records related to the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but against his family's wishes. The release involves more than 240,000 pages of records that had been under a court-ordered seal since 1977. That was 9 years after his assassination. King's family was given advance notice of this release and had their own teams reviewing the records ahead of this move. Right now, it's unclear if any of these released documents will shed any new light on the tragedy, but Martin Luther King Jr. isn't the only assassination the Trump administration is interested in. In January, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to declassify the records associated with former President John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy. In a statement, the King children had one request regarding their father's files. Quote, "We ask those who engage with the release of these files to do so with empathy, restraint, and respect for our family's continuing grief." The King records were initially intended to be unsealed in 2027.
Staying in Washington with this continuing coverage, the Congressional Budget Office is shedding light on how President Trump's newly signed spending package could impact you. In a report published yesterday, the nonpartisan office estimates 10 million people will be without health insurance by 2034 because of the bill. That's about 2 million less than earlier estimates due to revisions made by the Senate. Separately, the CBO has projected an additional 5 million more people could be uninsured in 2034 due to the expiration of Affordable Care Act and changes to enrollment eligibility. The CBO reaffirmed its earlier forecast that the mega package is expected to increase the federal deficit by $3.4 trillion over the next decade.
WNMU's public broadcasting is facing some difficult decisions after Congress's move to cut federal funding. Congress approved cutting $1.1 billion in public broadcast funding, with President Donald Trump citing unfair biases in NPR and PBS's reporting. WNMU Public Media's general manager says it breaks down to a major shortfall for the station that relies on funding, mainly to pay for station operations.
What Congress approved was pulling our 2-year advanced appropriations for TV and radio. That's our fiscal year 26 and 27 dollars. It equates to about a $2.2 million hit to both stations, which is about 34% of our operating budget.
Lakeinen says they're working now to find additional grant funding, alternatives to improve operations.
And Ishpeming Lake is beginning to look more like normal after an incident left looking unusually brown. Last week, many concerns were raised over the rusty color of Lake Angeline. We spoke with DNR spokesperson John Pepin, who says this is believed to have been caused by a breach in a beaver dam upstream of the lake following heavy rainfall. The discoloration is known as turbidity, which means an excess of sand and mud particles in the water. Pepin says not to worry, this is natural and will clear on its own.
It's safe to fish there, it's safe to eat the fish from there, and it's not any type of a polluted health concern.
When our reporter shot this video of Lake Angeline yesterday, the color of the water appeared to have improved significantly.
Calling all runners, this weekend, the Queen City Half Marathon and Breakwater 5K hits the streets of Marquette. Saturday marks the 5th year for both of these races. The Half Marathon and 5K both start and end at Ordock Brewing Company on Spring Street. There will be a party inside Ordock afterwards. The co-owner for Queen City Running says with all of these events happening this week, it's a great time to race and see what Marquette has to offer.
Well, you know, it's the best weekend to be in Marquette. You got Art on the Rocks going on, the Outback Art Fair, Blueberry Festival on Friday. The weather is typically, knock on wood, always beautiful. So I think it's the perfect time to come to Marquette, see what our community has to offer that weekend, and join the race and have a good time.
And speaking of some of those events like the Outback Art Fair, we do have details of that ahead in our next half hour. But if you still haven't registered for these races, you still have time. You can register right up to the day of the race. The Breakwater 5K starts at 8 in the morning on Saturday, and the half marathon starts 5 minutes later. Turning now to First Alert meteorologist Noel Navarro, because Noel, tomorrow is a First Alert weather day.
Yes, Mandy, John, and Tia, we got to get you ready there because of the heat and humidity, and then a system that comes along and just kicks up thunderstorms and then the heavy rain potential. For the entire UP, we'll be on watch for tomorrow. Here's the timing. We got it from 2 p.m. Wednesday afternoon through midnight of Thursday Eastern Time. And what's happening, again, as mentioned, severe thunderstorm and flash flood risks rising across upper Michigan. There's portions of the region where you could be dealing with both of those. One of those you could be dealing with across the northern UP, Keweenaw. It'll be more of a flash flood risk. Timeline, round one will be for Wednesday afternoon, and then the secondary shot to surge late evening on Wednesday. Storm Prediction Center, you see the shade of yellow. That's what means, that's a slight risk. And what does slight risk mean from the Storm Prediction Center in this outlook map here? Isolated scattered severe storms expected, not possible, expected. And it's covering more than half of the region. That's what's triggered the First Alert weather day for tomorrow. Weather Prediction Center, the excessive rainfall outlook from Wednesday morning to Thursday morning. Slight risk. What it means from this outlook map is that scattered localized flash floods are possible. It includes portions of northern upper Michigan, including the Keweenaw and Isle Royale. So let's get you ready for the midweek here. You can always download that free TV6 First Alert Weather app. There's that QR code. You can even hit pause on your screen there. If you got it with your TV or smart TV, download this app. It's good to go. You get your hourly forecast plus the radar tracking. In less than 10 minutes, we've got your full First Alert forecast. Guys?
Thanks so much, Noel. We'll check back in soon for that forecast. And when we come back, an update to those rising costs in the grocery aisle.
A study shares the impacts extreme weather can have on a product's bottom line. That's after the break.